Good hello! Now, you see me do a lot of bizarre contraptions and very technical angled stuff on this channel. Something I'm really not that practiced in is just good old traditional. Honestly, it's something I need quite a bit of practice in. So why not humiliate myself by doing it publicly? To improvise a frame-by-frame scene as quickly as I can, and to warm up to do it completely straight ahead, like an old flip book, where things will be just as interesting for me as it would be for you, because I have no idea what's going to happen next. Look, it's a box. The box will begin to fall. Ooh, this is dramatic now. That speeds up quite a lot, eh? One in between there. Landing heavy thud. Pretty much no bounce at all. Oh, look at that. 10 frames in already. Heck yeah. When all this is said and done, I'll probably expand it to 2s or 3s. My smears are going to need work, eh? The bounce is okay, but the amount that it stretches down, it doesn't look like it's falling with speed anymore. It just straight out looks like it's stretching. I'm going to redo that one. Now what happens? Let's say it starts to grow arms. Poking out just a little bit and fires past that point with a very sudden slowdown. So the arms pop out alright, but they settle very quickly, way too quickly. And around this point, I start opening up eyes. You can lean on previous drawings to cycle back and forth between some blinks like that. That looks so dumb. Actually, I can repair that blink by not making it completely mirrored. Goes down a little bit, instantly shut, open a little bit, instantly open. Yeah, that's way better. So what on earth will happen now? There's quite a bit of screen to work with still. Let's see what happens if I try and make it take a step. Will that even work? Straight ahead's tricky, man. I'll probably end up having to do some in-betweens as we go. Because, like, that's 2 keys, right? So, naturally, right away, I'm going to want to in-between that, but I want it to be favored. On the most part, at least. To there, towards the destination frame. Switching to narration mode now, live commentary was starting to get a bit slow. Naturally, the point of an exercise like this is to get back to basics. It's very easy to get very wrapped up in projects and spend weeks, months, years on getting into a lot of the finer details. And reflecting back on how things first began, the reason why we get into this kind of craft to begin with is about just creating movement. I remember my earliest animations taking probably like 20 minutes from start to finish to make. It's very taxing when when the 1.5-year projects come along. It can therefore be very refreshing to ignore all of the professional detail and just make things up. Ignore the rules. What will happen next? I don't know. It's drawing fourth dimensionally, right? Just drawing forwards. What will happen next? Each frame, okay, the head is opening now for some reason. It's really interesting going back and doing these sorts of practices with like years of experience under your belt, because like I'm trying to ignore those rules, yet it still happens instinctively. Like, okay, the onion skin's on now, so slow down is happening. I'll accidentally overshoot a little bit and go back and add an in-between somewhere. But the thrill and the excitement of not knowing the next frame before it's drawn is there. The anxiety of falling off model is certainly a thing, but very curiously, the level of detail is something that definitely creeps up as well. I recommend trying out this exercise with like what I did, like a box, a circle, just a line, like one of those strokes that sort of just fly around the screen, and watch as you naturally start adding more and more detail to it, where each frame begins only taking a few seconds to make, and then towards the end it might actually end up being 5 to 10 minutes a frame. So I start shaking the balloon back and forth very, very radically, almost copying and pasting it, recycling a few frames, because I know I want it to burst. I haven't decided what's inside yet, so I'm sort of putting it off a little bit. Notice there's a couple of layers in there now as well, so I don't have to redraw absolutely everything. The explosion will just be a quick little pop, 2 frames. The head pieces there now on 2 different layers, and they'll quickly slide off, come to a stop, probably off the edge of the screen. And let's have this guy here in the middle. Welcome to the world, this guy. There you go, there's the head just sliding to a stop, resisting the urge to use any kind of keyframing slide, but rather shifting the drawing manually. Lizard guy have 1 frame of just a little bit of a push to the ground, and then another one already pretty much being on the ground. I'm going to remove the legs, dip it down just a little bit, bend to the knees, have the arms sort of aiming up downwards, so it's just a nice snappy landing, you know? I'm ignoring my own rules of straight ahead now. I know I want it to have a snap to the side, to be looking at the head in a very dramatic, over-the-top way. I guess it could just be moving really fast and there is no in-betweens, but I'm going to be leaning on an old favorite technique of just having the 2 poses and creating overshoot by physically stretching it beyond where it's going to be. Now, this is an interesting experiment. A 1-step walk cycle, and rather than doing the whole character per frame, I'm just gonna wing it by drawing the leg, just cycling over like that in a clockwise motion, and then go through sort of building up the body. You can see just doing 1 line, working through 4th dimensionally, building up the body, building up the head. It doesn't really work. You'll see what happens towards the end, that there's no like bob to it. The leg goes up and down, but I end up sort of forgetting where I'm at, drawing the eyes moving in a straight line, sort of working diagonally downwards. And by the end of that first step, the character has gotten so much smaller than he started with, and now I'm just stuck with this thing having morphed. And you know, I've committed myself for this video to not be able to go back and change it or do it again. So I was like, oh geez, how am I going to salvage this thing? So I think I pretend to have it like it's crouching over instead. So I didn't stuff up. It's not off model. It's just sort of leaning downwards now. And make sure to correct that in the 2nd step by doing a great big arc. So there you go, the eyes are way up higher now. Then I'll move around, but I'm getting bored of drawing this character already because I'm trying to just go so quickly. And even a character as simple as this one has too much detail. So it's super, super crude. I've already fallen off model. I can't really save it, so I'm just sort of leaning into it by simultaneously bailing out. Bizarrely, it almost saves it by making the first step, you know, sort of just be this underpass, and then the next step is like moving over, so the head sort of goes in this like sneaky option with each step. You can see how quickly I'm drawing now too, just basically trying to get it over with because I feel like I'm just sinking deeper and deeper into this pit. I just want to get to the final pose. I know I want it to reach the head, and then it will sort of snap up to be staring down at it. This is a weird process. Like, yeah, I just talked about the excitement and the relaxation of going straight ahead with no consequences. But now my standards are setting in and realizing that I don't want to work with something that's so crooked and just wanting to erase it and do it again properly. And I'm feeling really tempted to like do this character again just a little bit more properly in another video, just to prove that this isn't normal. And that's the end. That's as far as I got. Again, I don't know what's going to happen next. I think I might try and do that step again with the character properly. But if this scene here gets continued, it must be up to you guys. What happens next in this scene? Leave a suggestion in the comments. No promises, but I don't know if I want to return to this scene. But please leave a suggestion. If someone suggests something good enough, then yeah. Thank you for joining me on this absolute train wreck. Please join me on the next Onion Skin for animating an actual train wreck. I've been messing around with some weird physics in Harmony that is definitely not a thing that it's supposed to be able to do. But again, I like making it do that anyway. Please join me then. Take care.